Now, the bandwagon, as they say, was getting heavy. Everyone started to jump on the bandwagon again.
Portland is not in a position to try to come back, and he should just kind of leave that alone.
Stop being satisfied with mediocre performances.
I don't like it. Plain and simple, I really don't like it. An all-star game just shows how much they just kind of continue to placate the players and their lackadaisical efforts on the court.
You really sparked my interest, and I'm sure that of many others. Alistair Albert, thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to Baseline with Alistair and Orane. We're jumping into episode 22 with Orane Buchanan, my co-host, and we have another special guest here with us, Kimani Ffriend, former pro basketball player, former NBA player for EuroLeague, Adriatic League, all leagues in the world. He's touched quite a few different places in the world playing high-level elite basketball. And we brought him in here today to have a conversation about his career. You know, he has a really extensive career, which we're going to get into a little bit, and also his thoughts on the NBA currently. You know, what he's seeing from his eye as a former player and everything, and kind of get his views on what he's seen in the playoffs so far. Maybe get a little bit of a prediction from him who he thinks is going to win this year based on everything that has been seen. So some quite interesting outcomes that have happened so far, and we kind of go from there. So Kimani, welcome. I'm really thankful for you coming on to Baseline with Alistair and Orane. This is something that Orane and I created over the last summer, having worked at SportsMax together, you know, him being a producer, me coming on as an analyst. I think we did a couple of episodes together on SportsMax during that time. So it was really good to kind of get you on. But how are you? How is everything going? What's going on with you?
Baseline podcast that you guys are doing, especially covering, you know, I guess on basketball, but you know, in the region, really that this thing take off for you guys, and you know, even get it to the next level. You know what I mean? It's great what you're doing in terms of creating a platform, you know, for especially the Caribbean athletes.
That's it.
And highlight, you know, individuals who are, you know, doing a lot, whether they're playing currently or in the past, that, you know, you can just bring to light, you know, a lot of their achievements. So I love what you guys are doing.
Respect. Thanks for that, man. Yeah, that's what we try to do. We try to put it together with of course, have the NBA discourse, but try our best to, you know, to highlight guys from the Caribbean playing currently and in the past, like you mentioned. Last episode, if anyone hasn't seen it yet, you know, we did a spotlight on St. Lucian WNBA player Megan.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know, so that was really good. We had her on, and that was a really lovely interview. Seems to be received really well in St. Lucia in the Caribbean at the moment. So that's really good. Unfortunately, we have some news where she didn't make the final roster, but you know, she's going through the process, you know, trying to understand what's next for her and which team might scoop her up. So we just, you know, keeping our fingers crossed we could get to see her play in the league this season. So all right, so like I said, getting on with the start of this interview. Like I said, you had a really extensive career, and what I'm going to do here just kind of rattle out some of your achievements and everything, so everyone knows. Between 1997 and 2001, you had your college career. You played initially at Perimeter College at Georgia State in Atlanta, Gulf Coast State College in Florida, and then the Nebraska Cornhuskers in the Division I, where you know you had a really good career there and everything, leading you to become a rookie in the NBA in 2001. Went undrafted, but you signed with the Miami Heat. You know, had a good time there, lots of experience and learning there with Miami Heat. Played 3 years in the league, and you know, jumping between teams. We'll get into that in a little bit as to why that is. But you played with the Clippers, Miami. the Memphis Grizzlies. You had some summer league stints with the Atlanta Hawks and the Sacramento Kings, along with the Heat and the Grizzlies as well. And then you went on to play an extensive global career, like I said. First off, I'll start with the Greenville Groove, which was formerly a team in the National Basketball Development League.
G League, no,
yeah. What is now called the G League. You were a champion there, D League finals team 2001, which is really good.
First, actually.
Say that again.
We won the first.
You won the first D League finals. Yep. Against who was it? It was against North Charleston.
Charleston, yes, man. You're jogging my memory right now.
yes. Best of 3 series and everything, which was really good. You averaged in that season, I think you played 23 games, 6.4 points, 5.8 rebounds. Really good, solid, solid numbers for someone in that league. And then after the D League, you went on, and like I said, you had this extensive career. You went on into you were the Adriatic League champion in 2004 with the team Reflex. Then in 2009 also you were part of the FIBA Caribbean Championship Jamaica squad that won gold in 2009. And then in 2017 back to the Serbian League, you were the first league MVP for the team Dynamic. And then in between all of that, you played in Valencia, Moscow, Beijing, Hapoel, Jerusalem, Besiktas in Turkey, Paris, Venezuela, Serbia, and the last team you played for was in Argentina in 2017. Man, that's a dizzying career and everything. Which one of those? Let me tell you. Let's jump straight into the questions. Which one of those experiences would you say? I know you say Jamaica because you're a proud Jamaican, very proud about wearing the jersey. But apart from Jamaica, which one of those experiences for you is the highlights? Which one you enjoyed the experience you enjoyed the most?
In terms of what you like, the outside of playing with the national team, talking whether in North America or Europe, whenever you look.
Yeah, in terms of like your playing career, which one you think was probably your most productive? Which one you just enjoyed the life, the city, whatever you want to pick on?
There's a lot, but if any one of them is that's a tough one. I know. All right, 2 places I want to say. I would say Turkey, playing for Besiktas. Definitely, I love Turkey. Istanbul is great. They embrace me. Whole culture, they're loving Black people. They embrace us, and then just me being a Jamaican. Like one thing I tell people all the time, brand Jamaica is huge. And Jamaica, like the average Jamaican don't really understand how big we are and the influence we have culturally around the world. I mean, I can give you an example. I played in Iran. We know a lot is going on over there right now, but I was in one of the most holiest cities in Zanjan, and even there, they knew a lot about Jamaica, a country where downloading a 5-minute YouTube video would take almost an hour. The internet connection is real bad. Everything that they have is on a thumb drive. Right. And in terms of the music, like Ska, for example, they knew more about Ska than me.
Global,
so that was just like
global,
man. So the Turkey, so like I said, Turkey would be one, Besiktas, and Serbia. I would also say, Serbia. I spent a lot of time there in Serbia. So Turkey, definitely, and I would have to rank Serbia second. Awesome. I mean, obviously, playing in the in North America, obviously I had its highlights, but I really enjoyed myself, I'm going to be honest, more in Europe, more so because going into a foreign country, even though I'm international, even when I was in the States, obviously I'm international.
Yes.
But so it was easy for me to adapt going to another country in Europe where you have to, the culture, the culture differences, food, language. Those are some of the highlights I would say for me that I enjoyed most, of learning about a different culture, and learning the language. I know a little of everything, but I know enough to get around where I can't get lost. I can't get lost.
Nice. And one of the things I noticed whilst you were in the Serbian league, you were on the list that I was able to see on the internet, you were the only international player who was not Serbian to win an MVP out of the whole list that I saw. The only international player to win
Yeah,
to be the first league
and
MVP.
that definitely was a highlight of my career, especially
Mhm,
because in that period, I was just going through some personal stuff off the court. So to
mhm.
be able to win the MVP in the
Mhm.
top league over there in Serbia. And if you know anything about
Mhm.
Serbian basketball is what it is to track and field here in Jamaica. It's the number one sport. They have
Right.
exported a lot of players, not just in the NBA, but if you look on the European leagues, you're going to find at least one or two Serbian players almost on everything. I mean, they call Serbia the mafia of basketball in Europe. They control everything.
Yes.
You know
Yes.
what I mean? Yeah. So being there and be able to do it, especially at the age that I was and dominating and winning the MVP, that definitely was one of the highlights of my career, for sure, without a doubt. The
Absolutely.
adversity that I was dealing with at the time.
Yeah, and absolutely one of the best players in the world right now, Nikola Jokic, is from Serbia, so you know that type of
Yeah,
basketball coming
actually,
from
he
there.
was there. He was there at one of my games,
Right.
supporting his hometown team when I
Nice.
was playing there. I didn't even recognize him when I was walking past him. It's not until I was on the bench, and then I was like looking around. I was like, "Oh, Jokic, okay."
Nice, nice. Awesome, awesome. Orin, let me jump to you. Your first question here.
Yeah, just want to jump back to something that you just mentioned, Kimani. You mentioned about playing in Turkey and how challenging playing there is. I remember back in the 2011 season, it would have been during the NBA lockout, two players that were very good players in the NBA at the time went to Turkey to play off-season basketball, yeah? Deron Williams and Allen Iverson. They played with
Hmm. Yeah, they played with Besiktas. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my old club. Yeah.
help them to develop their game to another level. So I want to touch back on how competitive and how challenging was playing in Turkey for you. And I know you mentioned, I just want to touch back on how that has formed you into the player that you became and how that can help players currently. Like, people just think that playing in the NBA, but there are leagues outside of the NBA that can really develop your game. So just how challenging is that currently?
I would have to take you back to now when I first played college and then went to the NBA and then transitioned and went to Europe. Styles are different.
Yeah.
College is similar. It's more similar to the European style of play because obviously you can sit in the paint. You know what I mean? In the NBA, especially when I was a rookie in Miami when I got my first taste of league experience. They hadn't yet transitioned to the way how they are playing right now, where you only can stay in stay in the key for like 3 seconds, in, step out. When I was there, the ball, if you look on like between like 80s, 90s until the early 2000s when the league decided to change the rules, you only could like if you got the ball in the post, the help side defense couldn't come and help until you made an offensive move to the basket.
Mhm.
So it was more isolation basketball in the 80s, 90s, into the early 2000s. Then now the league changed the rules where now the help side defense only can stay in the paint for 3 second rule, and then after touch, refresh, you have to touch a player, the opposing player, and then refresh for another. So they were in and out, in and out. So that did change, how you talk about the game, you're strategizing, especially, on defense and offense. So obviously, I'll go back to college. Playing college, can stay in the paint, you can manipulate, be the force in the middle, rebound, block shot. I was an athletic big at the time. I was as offensively sound as I was left guard in college. So I was pretty much, when I went to Nebraska, I was pretty much prototype big man to what in what the NBA is today. If I had came out in this era of the space pace league as it is right now, I definitely would have been a lot pick because I was considered even at 6'11" and at 225. I was considered undersized as a big man.
Wow.
They would classify me as a 4 in a 5 body, but I didn't have the skill set at the time as a 4 player. Or at the time, a 4 player at my you can shoot the mid-range jumper, you can put the ball on the floor, go to the basket. You know what I mean?
Good. What I'm gonna do here, Kimani, just hold a second. We might have to try without your headphones. Your audio is cutting in and out quite a bit. So okay, we'll just jump back into it. So yeah, Orrin, you just go to your question you wanted to ask.
Kimani, you're very spot on in your assessment about the one-on-one in Turkey. I mean, you were there, you lived life there, you played there. And just looking at some players who played in Europe, right? I just singled out a few. Luka Doncic, Giannis, Manu Ginobili, Paul Gasol, Tony Kukoc. What those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players have in common, they relish one-on-one situations. Yeah? So you're very spot on in your assessment that the Turkish league, more than any other league, develop guys in that they give them the ability to take players on one-on-one. And I just want to shout out that point and single out those players that, yes, when you made mention about that, I immediately started to jot down some players and they, in fact, right directly into that assessment after. So you're very spot on in that.
Mm-hmm.
But those players didn't necessarily like Luka and all of them. They didn't. Luka
played in Real Madrid in Spain.
Yeah, they're in Spain. Yeah.
Yeah, and Spain is considered the top league
second
in Europe, the ACB. Yeah, so yeah, that in terms of where you want to go as a player, you would strive to try and go to the ACB.
Yeah,
which I had a stint with FC Barcelona after I left Miami.
Ah, okay. Right.
Yeah, it was a shot. I signed with them about to play my first game, and I got and I wasn't healthy at the time. Yeah, but that was a great opportunity when I was there as well. And then after that, I was like, I felt sour about all that, and I got a lot of opportunities to go back to the ACB, but then I decided to go elsewhere. I had a chance to what's his name?
Ricky Rubio.
Rudy Fernandez. Yeah, man, who went to Barcelona. Yeah, I had a chance to play with him. They're very high on me coming there and like being the 1-2 punch with him, but
pick and roll for days.
Yeah, man, pick and roll for days. He looks like he's frozen. But yeah, pick and roll for days. I could imagine, someone with his stature, 6'11", 225, like he said, would have been a really great target for those guys over there. Having a little bit of technical difficulties here. Hopefully, Kimani will be able to come back. Let's see what's happening.
A lot of experience. Very good in his time. I must commend him for that, and he really stood. Had it not been for injuries, it
would have been.
Who knows? But different. Probably that was his journey. Journey had to go through injuries and so forth. And I mean, who knows? He probably ended up in coaching and administration somewhere along the line to give guys some encouragement. So everyone's journey is different.
What we were saying, Kimani, just before you froze, I'm not sure if you heard. We were just saying.
Yeah, I didn't hear. Yes, I wasn't sure what I was just, just following along. But yeah, it froze. I didn't hear anything after I said about Huento and about me and Rudy being a 1-2 punch.
Yeah, we were saying, you would have been a pick and roll target for days. You would have been like, 6'11", 225 in your prime, athletic big. You would have been a target for most of these guys, rolling to the rim and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's really good. Although we had a little, technical glitches here and everything, I think we kind of got a little bit of that where you were talking about, how sometimes it's difficult to transition some of the American guys coming over.
It is. Yeah, man, it is
to sustain a roster spot because of the style of play and everything that came into, but you were able to successfully adapt into that, which is what prolonged your career had it not been for injuries. What I want to do now here is talk about those injuries. I know that's a little bit of a sore spot because that kind of derailed your career a little bit, but tell us a little bit about what that was for you in the NBA, because when we first spoke, we had a little text conversation offline. You told me, it was a situation where you would come in, you get on a team, you play the summer league, you get injured, and then of course to create roster spots, they'll waive you, and then you kind of moved on to the next team. So tell us a little bit about what that was for you, what your mindset was, how you were able to come back, and this kind of move on. It's part of the game, injuries, but being able to deal with that and not being able to get the momentum you wanted. How are you able to deal with that?
Yeah, I put it this way, I got my first taste of the business side
Yes.
of basketball, which is what you've seen a lot now, especially with this player empowerment that's going on in the NBA right now, which is great, but it didn't exist back in,
Your time.
in my days. So like I said, the league has changed a lot, the rules has changed a lot in terms of with the collective bargaining agreement and all of that. So back then I had something called an IR list. Injury report. Yeah, so we would sit down. So if you're not playing, you have to go in your street clothes, sit behind the bench, sit on the bench with the team. So I did a lot of that till I developed a reputation where they were like, when I'm trying to make a team, they're like, hey, my agent would be like, yo, come on, man, you can't be in the treatment room. I'm like, damn, yeah. When it got to that point, the general manager was like, because I had a history of not staying healthy, and it got to the point where I realized that my body was I just couldn't adapt physically to the rigorous and the physicality of the league. It's not that I wasn't able to sustain and compete. It was nobody question my talent, but because of my anatomy and the development, even the doctors. I'm an athlete because I was such an athletic, explosive player, and being in the post and fighting with guys like 260, 270, 280. You know what I mean? These were the guys who are playing against. I was prone to tissue injuries. When I went undrafted to the Miami Heat, Pat Riley loved me. He's a great guy. Pat Riley looked at me, he was like, I remember, I'm going to even go deeper, to give you the sense, so the viewers can understand the brutal side of the basketball behind the scenes. Draft night. I watched draft night in Sarasota, Bradenton at IMG Academy, which obviously now is a powerhouse in high, prep school basketball.
Yep.
I was at the time, I was a project for IMG, the company, the agency. They already had signed Vince Carter, and he was playing with the Toronto Raptors at the time. So I was their second player and the first out of college.
Right.
And so, they laid out rolled out, the red carpet and everything. So I wanted to watch my draft night at home. Why? Because even though I was highly touted and I was mocked in the mock draft, I was supposed to go late first round to early second round. They had a combine called the Phoenix Desert Classic. It was the last year of the Phoenix Desert Classic.
Right.
During the Big 12 tournament, this is when everything started, because I was never injured before.
Right.
Last game, the night before the last game of my college career, we needed one game against Iowa State. I believe they were ranked, I could be mistaken, but I think they were ranked maybe number 5 in the nation at the time. I can't remember, but we lost to them in overtime at last second basket in Lincoln, Nebraska. If you even go back, it's on YouTube, it even made Sports Center. It even made Sports Center where I blocked the shot, and I'm jumping on the with the scorer's table, and raising my hand on because it was a big block, and they were one of the teams favored to win, to go deep in the March Madness that year. And Marcus not Marcus Pfizer, Jamal Tinsley. I don't know if you remember Jamal Tinsley.
In Indiana Pacers point guard, yeah.
Yeah, man, I believe he was the one that scored that last second basketball just at the top of the rim and just fell, and I was like, that was just gutted. But we were to play them again. That was the last game of the season, and I got a grade 2 meniscus MCL. I sprained the night before the game, so everything started there. Came back. Played in the Big 12 tournament, but I wasn't healthy. But obviously, because of the tournament, and we needed to win at least 1 or 2 games because we didn't beat Iowa to get that at-large bid. To get a large bid to the March Madness. So, rehab, got back, tried to, do the best that I can, but obviously I wasn't able to be healthy enough. We played against K-State in the first game. We lost against K-State, and then now I had all that time to get healthy. So the Phoenix Desert Classics is the top 50 seniors in the nation. So I was one of the top 50 seniors in the nation to play. So I went there. We did well. The team that I was on, Carlos Arroyo was a point guard for that team as well. So me and him was like buddies, especially back then. So, and obviously with the national team, we played against him a lot of battles with that. But with that note, I rose my stock because we won that league, won that tournament, won that combine. Because everybody, they put you on teams, and we beat everybody. So my stock rose again because I had a block. Because of my injury, people were questioning because they weren't sure if I would be able to play. So obviously, if you know anything about, pre-draft, they're going to do their research, investigation, they do their tests and everything on you, So they did everything with me. So my stock rose, so I was like, yes, getting back, still there, floating between late first, early second. Then I went to Chicago. If you're familiar with the Chicago Combine, that's where everybody goes. So, okay, then now I have to prove myself again. And then literally, like, I don't think it was maybe 1 hour or even close to 2 hours on the first day. When now we're went through the drills, getting ready to play, pick up now. This is where all the GMs and the presidents, coaches, everybody scouts, everybody know. Now it's time for me to prove myself and show to raise my value.
Yes.
Right. And went for a block. They threw an alley hoop to Brian Scalabrine, who played for the Boston Celtics. I blocked his shot and I lost my balance and I came down and his knee went in the back of my head. Concussion. Laid out on the ground. That was it for me for Chicago. So Chicago Combine, never played another game or practice another day for me to know to raise my stock now. And so because of that now, my path to the NBA now was a little harder because I wasn't able to showcase my skills because I was already on the ball. Yes, I was no lottery picker. I wasn't the player at the time, where, okay, then they're slotted in the first 14, you know what I mean? But I was late, so I had to try and hold on to that position. So because of that now, and I wasn't able, so those who already had me like right there and just waiting to see what I'm doing against my other peers at my position, I wasn't able to showcase that. So I had to go the hard route of like going to teams now and
and try to make
and then playing against my peers like Jason Collins, Lauren Woods, Eric Chenoweth, those guys. Some of those guys obviously were more polished. Chris Mims, they were more polished at the time than me offensively. Because in the NBA, they have grades. You have A, B, C player. I was a C player offensively, but I was an A player on the defensive side.
Gotcha.
Right? So defensively, athleticism, all of that, for a guy at 6'11" at my height, jumping out to the gym, all of that, I was an A. But on the offensive side, when you're comparing me to other guys, okay, if you're going to have to choose, I'm going to choose Jason over you because he's ready. He's NBA ready. Now you need that polishing. And then also my age at the time was working against me. Because I was going to be I was 23, going to be 24 now because you see those guys were younger than me. So in their head, they're like, okay, then my window, ceiling.
Yeah.
But also those who knew me knew that I was a late bloomer because I didn't start playing basketball organized, like I emphasize that again, organized basketball until 18, 19 years old.
That's
I didn't know how to do a drop step. The first time somebody ever really taught me a drop step was when I went to college.
Right.
So even though I was older, my ceiling was still high in terms of my development.
Yeah.
And actually, I have to give a shout out to Bob McAdoo, one of the greatest NBA and top 75 NBA players.
Right.
He was the one that mentored me. He mentored me a lot. And, obviously we still keep in touch, but he mentored me my rookie year. And that is when I was able to take my development to the next level. But like I said, but with the injuries now, it started there, went to Miami, stress fracture, second, third metatarsal. And because, again, transitioning from college and then preparing your body for the NBA.
Totally different.
It's totally different in terms of the food, the nutrition, the strength and conditioning, the stress that your body is going through. I wasn't used to that. The pounding, the constant pounding, playing. You're playing 30 games in college. You're playing 60, 70 games, 80 games, 100 games in NBA. But in terms of the physicality and the speed, that's another thing that if you have never watched a NBA game live on TV, look like these players are not moving, but the speed, the pace is totally different from college. So I developed a stress fracture. So that hurt me. So in Miami, even though I was on the team, I was on the sidelines. And that was the first year of Pat Riley losing season because of Alonzo Mourning had the kidney. I don't know if you remember. Alonzo Mourning back then, he had kidney issues. So they went like a 20 game losing streak. And I never forgot. This was my first taste, to get to my point. I'm in the in the training room getting treatment. And I saw former, the big man at the time, he was with the New Jersey Nets, Chris Gatlin.
Okay, Chris Gatlin, yes.
Yeah, Chris Gatlin came in the training room, and I was like, saw Chris Gatlin, and I was like, and Ron at the time, Ron Culp, who was the lead trainer at the time there, he was like, hey, Kimani, what's up, man? I want to introduce you to Chris Gatlin. And I was looking, and I was on the training table getting treatment on my leg, and I was like, Chris, I know I have the last spot on the team.
What's going on?
And I was like, this is Chris, veteran player, been in the league a long time, you know what I mean? He's done well in his career. 20 game losing streak, first in Pat Riley's career. Alonzo Mourning still not healthy as yet.
Yeah.
Whose spot they're going to take? I know the other guys that were there who were rookie. I mean, they're already, their position was already solidified.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's on the way, and but coming from college, being in front of 14, 15, 20,000 and, just the college experience and everybody cheering you and shouting your name, it never occurred to me that, I was expendable at the time. Yeah. Because obviously when I was in college, I was a big man on campus. But at the same time, what a lot of people don't realize that in the NBA, everybody's a star.
That's it.
Even if you're the last man on the bench, you were somebody in college. So when I'm hearing like even pundits or or just regular average fans talking about, he's not good and he's trash, I'm listening, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Well,
let's looking at his resume.
Let's come back to that, because we're going to have to just jump into an advert break really quickly. All right, So yeah, coming back from that, we had a little bit of a technical break here and everything, but we just going to continue on from the story that Kimani was just mentioning. Him being in Miami, the situation of Chris Gatlin being brought onto the team, Alonzo Mourning unfortunately stepping out with the kidney injury that he had at the time, and yeah, you were just explaining, there's the harsh realities of being someone who had to be potentially cut. I'll let you continue from that.
Because like I said, this was all new for me.
Yeah.
Being the big man on campus at Nebraska, and then getting an opportunity in the league and having Pat Riley coming to you. I mean, it's a blessing when you have a legend like Pat Riley,
Sure.
like calling. I never mentioned that earlier in terms of the harsh reality of not going on drafting, and a lot of it had to do with timing, especially with the underclassmen coming out that year and I being injured because everybody expected me to get drafted. I was one of the top centers coming out of college, all Big 12, you know what I mean? I was even consensus preseason player of the year, in the Big 12. So everybody expected me to be that guy. And unfortunately, they fired the coach that brought me in, brought in a new coach, and I didn't have the season that I had at Nebraska. So I didn't have the season that everybody expected. So that also hurt me in terms of my draft status at that time. And then going to being in Miami, like I said, after draft night, Pat Riley calling my agent. I'm sitting right there, like literally not even, I don't think it was more than 5 minutes. Devastated. I'm there in Florida, walking out on the dock, looking at the sea. Everybody in Jamaica watching TV to see, having draft parties to see, waiting to hear my name get called. And that would have been a highlight. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, my stomach, I felt like, wow, I can't believe it. I thought everything was over right there. And then walking back into the room with the Nike executive, Vince Carter there, my agent there, you know what I mean? And the phone ring, and then Pat Riley called on the phone, and then the GM ran the front at the time, and they were like, hey, we want Kimani.
Right.
And I'm like, wow.
Mm-hmm.
So my sadness turned into joy within 5 minutes. Went to Miami. So with that, sit me down, having an interview, they're talking to me. They told me how they wanted me here. They've been following my career. And then having somebody like Pat Riley, they're like, wow, this is a legend. LA Lakers, New York Knicks. Obviously, the connection there with him also was because of Patrick Ewing. And he thought I was similar to him, being Jamaican. He loved my hustle. He loved, how hard I played because he's known for that nitty gritty, like he liked guys who like to work hard. You know what I mean? Play hard and just give their all on the court. That's what he was looking for in a player like me. And he wanted me to be the understudy to Alonzo Mourning, so they embraced me. So being there in the locker room, being naive at the time, I'm thinking, I'm good.
You
Then all of a sudden, now I'm shaking Chris Gatling's hand, and then literally, I would say probably in the next couple of hours, the GM called me on the phone. I was like, hey, Kimani, I just have to let you know, we got to let you go. And that was my first experience where I was like, it hit me like a ton of brick. I was like, wow, this is NBA. This is my life right here. Like, damn.
And that
hurt my ego. That was a reality check.
Was that within the season or was that preseason?
No. This was in the season.
That was in season. Okay, wow.
This was like right before the cutoff. I believe
deadline in February.
The deadline, February. I think I can't remember. It's the same day, like early February, something like January, February, where they have the cutoff date where what I mean, everybody is guaranteed and all of that. Yeah, right there. And that's when my European career started. Left there. Went to where I went, FC Barcelona, but I wasn't healthy at the time. Right before was to play my first game, they made a decision that they were going to let me go. So, and then I came back, and then I believe that went to China.
Okay.
So that went to China, played for the Beijing Ducks.
Yes.
The same team that Stephen Marbury
He's a
No,
legend.
made
Oh,
famous,
yeah,
and they got like a statue
yeah,
out there
yeah.
of him.
Mm-hmm.
But I was the first player,
Mm-hmm.
because when I went to Beijing Ducks,
Mm-hmm.
there were bottom feeders. They were like the laughing stock of the CBA, the Chinese Basketball Association,
Mm-hmm.
and I took them to the semifinals
Oh,
where we
nice.
lost to the Guangdong. I believe it's Guangdong Tigers. If I not, don't quote me on that one, but it's
Mm-hmm.
Guangdong, and they had won the league 10 years in a row, and
Wow.
we took them to 3 games.
Right,
So
right.
they loved me over there in Beijing and wanted me to come back. But the thing about with me was that for me, I felt that I had a lot to give, and I
Mm-hmm.
always embraced challenge and taking the hard road. So for me, it was never about the money. It
Mm-hmm.
was always, I felt at that time in my career, I was always proving myself because I went undrafted, got that taste, my first taste of playing league basketball,
Yes.
and I realized that I had the talent
Mm-hmm.
to play against the
You
best,
belong, but your body just
belong there. So
yeah.
even though China was emerging at the time where now you've seen all NBA players go to China. So I
Mm-hmm.
was there right there
Mm-hmm.
at that time where it's they're making the transition, they're changing to mimic, they're changing how the league was run in terms of mimicking the NBA. And we know that China is very good at copying,
Ah.
you know.
Yeah,
So
in all
yeah, so they're
senses.
yeah, man. So they were creating that environment, to bring the foreigners over there to play. But for me, I wanted to test my skills against the best because the league wasn't where it needed to be at the time. So I went to Europe, obviously.
Right,
So
right.
after China, but after Beijing, I came back and that's when I went to the Greenville Groove when it was the NBDL.
NBDL, yeah.
Yes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the NBDL, and that is when I finished up the season there, and
Mm-hmm.
we won the first inaugural championship for the G, and that was like when you call it reality, the where we said they had the ESPN, they had a reality show where they were following us around. I don't know if you remember
I
watching
think I
back then, because
remember
that's where a lot of
vaguely. Yeah.
yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
we were traveling on the bus. So the ESPN were highlighting every team in the league, obviously, because they're trying to promote it. They were doing a great job marketing the
Mm-hmm.
NBDL. So you saw a lot of Jamaicans got a chance to see me play
Yeah.
there in the NBDL. So even when I came back to Jamaica, everybody was like, "Hey, Kimani, we saw you playing. We saw when you won the championship because it was on TV." So
Mm-hmm.
obviously that was a highlight. So that experience back then from it, I gained the confidence because in my head at the time, especially in that era,
Mm-hmm.
Europe was shone upon.
Right.
Now you're seeing nobody second guessing European basketball. If you don't work out in the NBA, everybody's going overseas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When I came out, nobody wanted to go overseas.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, yeah. If you're coming from the NBA, I was like, oh man, I gotta go
Mm-hmm.
overseas. But for me, I was like, I embraced it and I enjoyed it, and I actually enjoyed playing over there. Yes, being in the NBA, you're talking about the notoriety, being on TV, everybody seeing you, and that's a highlight of one's career.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, I did embrace playing overseas because, like I said, you get to travel the world, you get to eat, different food, learn a different language, and for me, I never had a problem with that. So it wasn't an ego thing for me. I embraced it, but I kept on bouncing back, back and forth, back and forth.
Well, but people have to understand as well, of course, yeah, the NBA is considered the best league in the world and everything, but there are quite a lot of players who, especially the European guys who come from Europe and they actually crave to go back to Europe.
Yeah, they want to
They
go
love
back, exactly.
they love the NBA, but they actually want to go back. I think this guy who was on the Nuggets this year, Jonas Valanciunas, before he signed
Hmm.
the Nuggets, he actually wanted to go back to Europe.
Yes.
Sergio Lul, Rudy Fernandez, he was playing for the Dallas Mavericks. He had a contract. They wanted him. He was like, "No, I want to go back home. I want to go back to Spain." Ricky Rubio, well, he had a little bit of ups and downs with injuries and everything, but he wanted to go back. And these are guys who understand what the roots were of their success coming up in Europe, the difference in the style of play, and of course it's home for them. So they
Hmm.
go back and do that sort of stuff. But there's nothing wrong with playing in the European League. It is one of the
No.
in the world. Players decide if they want to do that. The NBA now is trying to globalize and come over to here and to the European side to
There
link
you
with
go.
people and everything, and it shows what they see, the value and the fundamentals and the skill, which is on this side of the world, and so they want to work with that. So yeah, you having a really successful career in the European League, just shows how high level of a talent that you were. And that's no slight against you or what happens. It's just injuries, like you said. Oren, you could come back in here. I know you want
And just to add,
Mhm.
every stop I had, because I know we've been focusing on Miami, every stop I had was injuries.
Yeah.
Miami stress fracture, Clippers stress fracture, Memphis twice.
That's crazy.
They brought me in,
Mhm.
signed a partial guarantee. Jerry West was the GM at the time. So this is another reason, like I said, where my confidence was even more, where it was never about talent. You're talking about Jerry West, the logo. He brought me in. He signed me.
Yeah.
He gave me money to be with the Memphis Grizzlies. So obviously he saw something in me as well. For grade 2, tore my ligament in my thumb. I played with Paul Gasol, obviously. You know what I mean? Got hit in my back, fell on the ground on Paul. I fell on Paul Gasol leg, tore the ligaments in my thumb. That was it for me with Memphis. They brought me back the following year, knee problems.
Yeah. You had a tough go, man. You had a tough go.
Yeah, man.
Orange jumping
Just wasn't meant to be, man. It just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah.
You mentioned, you called a name a couple minutes ago that I wanted to touch back on, Brian Scalabrine. There's a thing going on now where I think it was Austin Reeves. Yeah? He's saying that he's not any regular players for money right now. I think Isaiah Thomas came out and he said that if I'm going to play pickup basketball with any non-NBA player, they'll have to give me $2,000 up front. Just follow me now. For the neutral watchers of the NBA, they'll probably look on a Brian Scalabrine who probably averaged 2-3 minutes per game back in his time with the Celtics and say that he's a bench player. In fact, he is a bench player, or he was get minutes then. But Brian Scalabrine made a comment that it's famous to this day. Brian Scalabrine was playing a pickup game and he defeated every single non-NBA players that were there that challenged him to a one-on-one. Statement, I am closer to LeBron James than you are to me.
Yeah.
Just follow me. And you explain that length, but just to touch back, how hard it is to not only make an NBA roster, but to remain on an NBA roster.
It's tough. You're talking about one of the biggest things, and like I can speak from experience and I use myself, timing. It has a lot to do with timing, not so much your talent. Roster fit, right team, right time, right coach. You know what I mean? And that happened a lot with me. For me, was timing. Yes, my agents did a great job of that. Putting me in a system where it showcase my strengths, and obviously I could work on my weaknesses, and obviously with a coach that wants you to be there and wants to help with your development. For me, it was injuries. So obviously the timing just wasn't right, and then you have another player that you're fighting with, and obviously he's going to have the edge over you, whether it's for a veteran experience or, like I said, he's just being healthy and reliable. The knock on me, I just wasn't reliable. You know what I mean? So
health standpoint.
So it goes back again. Okay, then somebody say, "Oh, you didn't make it." Okay, but you don't know behind the scenes what the work that it takes to get there. Like I said to you earlier, the transitioning from college to the NBA level, the nutrition is different. Strength and conditioning, preparing your body the right way, working on your crafts, being in the gym 2-3 times a day. You're in the gym more than half the day. You get up in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock, depending on you know who you are and the type of work ethic you have. Run, work on your conditioning, hit the weight room, then you go on the court, get that court work in the morning for 2 hours, 3 hours. Then you come back in maybe the afternoon after lunch again, maybe 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You know what I mean? You get some more work in. Then in the evening, you get a short workout and maybe play some pickup ball games. Some guys, their thing was like, okay, then during the off season when they're working on the game, they don't play no pickup games. They're not playing any summer leagues, or especially the veteran players. They're not going to play in pro-ams. They're not going to play in 5-on-5 rec. They're working up by themselves. Then you have other players. They wait until training camp to get to play themselves into shape, right? For me as a rookie, and especially after my rookie year, I understood that for me, I was at a disadvantage, especially coming in from Europe, because I am going to be fighting for a spot with other players. So I have to make sure that I prepare myself as the season finished, especially coming from Europe and going to Summer League. Summer League was great for me because Summer League is not what it is right now. The Summer League, how Summer League is formatted right now, is they make it into another league. It's like an extension of the NBA, just shorter, right? And it's more obviously free agents, rookie, highlighting the draft picks, and they're obviously the assistant coach who want to get that exposure and want to be seen, get that experience. Now it's as a tadpole for them now to showcase what they can bring to the table as well. So everybody is trying to fight for a spot.
Everyone's auditioning.
Yeah, so when I played, it was the same, but not as highlighted how it is now. There was no trophies. Yes, you have a record. Yes, you win the games. So for me, going to Summer League, you still have to go through the whole mini camp, what they call a mini camp. You have to fight for a spot. So coming from Europe, scouts come over there, GMs come over there, they watch you. I had quite a few of them. My first time coming back after Miami letting me go, they came and watched me when I was in Europe, especially when I was in Reflex, where we won the Adriatic League.
Yes.
Right? We were the first one to win that league. It was called the Goodyear League when I was playing. They came and saw me. Like I said, it was a business. Me, with lacking that experience, in my head, I was like, wow, the GM here, Randy is here. He's coming to me after the game. Hey, Kimani, what's up? I'm like, the last time I saw him, he waved me over a phone call. Right. He didn't see me in person. He didn't see me in person. He waved me over the phone. And then now he's at the gym and he's shaking my hand. I'm like, hey, Rand, Pat said to tell you what's up. And Jeff Van Gundy, because Jeff Van Gundy was the assistant coach. Sorry, not Jeff. My apologies. Stan Van Gundy. Stan Van Gundy was the assistant coach, and he was later, obviously, the coach for Miami as well. So everybody sending their love, blah blah blah. We want you back here, and I'm like, what? And didn't you guys just let me go, like, like a couple months ago, But that's me understanding the business side and not taking it personal, because after he had let me go, that is when the whole love for the game changed. I looked at it strictly as business. So my mindset going into any team was like, okay, then I have to make an impression the first day in practice. All right, dunk on somebody, block a shot. You know what I mean? Impose myself in there and make everybody be like, wow, now we made a great choice in bringing him in. First game, I always set my goal, 20 and 10. Yeah, 20 and 10, maybe three, 4 block shots, right? Because I'm thinking like, okay, then if I set the tone and set myself up, then now the GMs, the president of the team, they're gonna be like, I'm inexpendable. Because especially in Europe, and especially in my era when we played, it was hard to find quality big men, or what they call now two-way players. That term never existed back in my days. No. Right? So being a two-way player, and I was a two-way player at the time because, like I said, when I left college, I was an A defender. Everybody, I was A. On the defensive side, I was elite. But on the offensive side, I was a C. So I wasn't, but after China, after playing, I've been having Bob McAdoo as my mentor, teaching me how to face up, teaching how to utilize my skills with my athleticism.
Mm-hmm.
I became now an offensive powerhouse. So I was able to play both sides. And then when you add that with my athleticism, my explosive at my height and my quickness, and being able to now put the ball on the floor effectively, it was hard for guys my height, bigger than me, to guard me in the post, because I was able to take them off the dribble. I was able to my first step was explosive, where I was just one step and I'm already dunking the ball. So in overseas in the European leagues, obviously the Europeans are more known for their finesse, their soft touch around the basket, be able to shoot the basket.
Yeah.
I was giving fits to the European bigs,
Right,
over there.
yeah.
And also the international ones like myself, playing over there. So like I said, going into the summer league, you had to come back now and you had to prove yourself, constantly just proving yourself. So you had to change immediately. It's like a light switch. You come back, okay, then yeah, Kimani, okay, we brought you in. We're glad to have you. You know what I mean? You got to go through minicamp, make that final roster, bam, on the final roster, go to the Utah, go to the LA, go to the Orlando Summer League, and then now you have to be proving yourself throughout that whole summer. To get back to training camp and fight for a spot.
Yeah, man. I think from Orange's question in terms of what it is with NBA players, you don't disrespect anyone.
No.
From 1 to 15, these guys, and like you said, all these guys coming in from where they were in college, they were the big man on campus. They were the
They
best
were
thing.
somebody.
They were
Exactly.
the best thing in college. They were probably the best thing in the area that they lived in. They were the best thing in high school. So they were the best everywhere. Coming to the NBA is a combination of all the best coming together. All right.
But I got it. I got it a lot. Sorry, but I even got it when I came back to Jamaica. Even playing here.
Right.
I'm like, okay, I'm at the end of the bench. Okay, yeah, but I'm the man in Europe.
Yeah.
But then no, they're focusing, oh, you didn't make the league or you was on the bench. And I'm like,
Not
so
think,
what that mean? At the end of the day, I stepped on the court. I wore NBA. I put on an NBA jersey. I played with some of the greats.
Yeah, man.
I learned from some of the best coaches. So why are you trying to marginalize and diminish my accomplishments? So you couldn't understand. And I said, oh, come on, why you don't want to play, man? I'm like, no, I'm not. It's not that I don't want to play with you guys while I'm here. And it's not like I'm trying to come across as being arrogant. And a lot of former players like myself or current players can relate to what I'm saying, is that you have to remember, my legs is how I make my money.
Right.
If I get injured playing with you and injured you, that can cost me a season. That's going to cost me income. So I cannot risk going on the court playing with you when you are not playing the correct way.
Right.
So it's not me not wanting to play, but you're not playing the correct way. You don't know how to foul the correct way.
So
they couldn't understand that.
They couldn't understand that. Yeah, it's a matter of perspective. And when you see you're at a different level, that environment of being elite is totally different from the environment of, recreational island basketball, club basketball, and everything. It's a totally different thing. And like, I know we're going to switch genders here, but when you think about what Megan in our last interview did, coming from St. Lucia, yeah, she just played netball for a little bit, and then she ended up being like the big girl on campus in college. When she saw what it was in the pros, it's a totally different thing. She was in a little bit of a similar situation with you, where she got released from the Chicago Sky, and then she was like, wow, I thought I could make this team, but no, there's levels to this. So when you come back home, even if you didn't make a team or you're considered the 15th man on the roster, no, this 15th man is not somebody to be messed with. And like you say, you're trying to preserve your money, your health, to be able to come in and play and everything. So they had to understand that. Matter of perspective, sometimes they don't realize that.
No, they don't.
Yeah, Orin.
Both of you something, because as Kimani said that, and Alistair followed up with this point, let me just remind the viewers and listeners something. back in the 2005-2006 season, Patrick Beverley at high school was the leading scorer in the state of
30-something points per game.
Patrick Beverley in high school average.
I remember that.
Yeah.
And things has always been this defensive style. Nope. He was a bucket in high school.
Yeah, man.
He had to change his style. He had to change his style, and that's something that I also try to emphasize and teach this younger generation when they're asking about my experience, playing pro and especially my NBA stints. I said to them that, okay then, in college, they built the team around me, I came from JUCO, I was an all JUCO player, went to Nebraska. When they got me, we were the top we recruited the top recruiting class for the Big 12. So we were number one because of my presence. So I already was like, okay then, I had success in JUCO, went to college, and my first year exploded. Everybody, was like, wow, gotta watch out, the Jamaican sensation. This is who we gotta watch out. Got NBA talent. That is when I realized, it was my first year at Nebraska, was when I truly realized that I had NBA potential, because everybody was telling me that. Right? And transitioning from there and going to Miami, they're explaining to me what my role is. Kimani, all we need you to do, play hard, set picks, rebound, block shots. That was kind of, it was hard for me at the time to transition because I was so used to getting the ball a lot when I was at Nebraska. So I had to make that adjustment. And it was the same thing. When I left Miami, went to Europe, I got the ball again. I was getting the ball all the time. Then my offensive skill got better. All-round game got better. Now I got gain more experience. Then came back the following summer. Went back to Summer League. Got to change my role again.
Right.
Draft picks. These are the guys who are on the team. These are our main guys who are going to Summer League. They are getting the ball. Kimani, rebound, play hard. Block shots, be that guy in the middle, run the floor. Get get the putbacks whenever you get the opportunity, you make the balls. That was hard for me to change my mindset and to transition back to, because I was the man in Europe too.
That's the real thing. Yeah, that's the real thing.
And then I had to change. Then I had to do the little things. I had to went back. So yes, of course, my ego took a hit, because in my head, I'm like, I've expanded my game. I've worked on it. The things that you told me to work on for me to get a shot back, I went and worked back on it. But then I'm not able to showcase it because we got to prioritize our draft picks. These are the guys who are drafted, and they're the ones who are making the millions of dollars. So it's not easy.
That's crazy. Orion coming in again. Yeah. That's last question before the next break. Yeah.
I know you guys know the game of NBA is very tall. Which NBA player comes to mind as soon as Kimani was mentioning about knowing your role sooner? Remember Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah.
Carmelo Anthony was almost he was out of the league before Portland Trailblazers saved him. Because what? Anthony reached a point in his career where teams were telling him, no, listen, you have to change your style, you have to change how you play, and you might have to come off the bench. Being the player that Carmelo Anthony was at the time, the man at New York Knicks, the man at Denver Nuggets, Melo was like, that's not me. Until he got from Portland Trailblazers that you're going to come back in the league. This is what you have to do, and you have to make the adjustment. So,
but I'm going to give you. But I'm going to give you a better one. Allen Iverson. That's how Allen Iverson ended up in my former team, Besiktas.
I was just about to say the same thing. Yeah, when he came back and then he got to Memphis, he had to kind of readjust because they wanted him to come off the bench behind Mike Conley. And he was like, oh, man, even before that, they were telling him to go to the G League to kind of get himself back. And he's like, I'm a former MVP. You tell me go to the G League to get reps. What? And then come back. I was just about to come back to that time. Your former
It's
team.
not easy, man. Trust me, it's not easy.
It's not easy. Yeah, that change of ego and everything. What we're gonna do here, really quickly, Kimani, just in a couple of minutes. I wanted, as you speak about, talking to the youth and trying to get them to understand those different perspectives and stuff. I think you do a lot of different camps in Jamaica and I think elsewhere as well. Could you tell us a little bit about what you do with the kids? To try to understand, the camps that you do and everything. Is there anything that you have ongoing in the next 7 minutes before we go on to the next break?
Okay, all right. Let me mention the first one that many Jamaicans don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Orion would know. Have you ever heard of Star Search? Star Search basketball camp here in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
My mom and I are the founder of that camp. It started when I was at Nebraska.
Okay.
I was on the phone with my mom. Yeah, obviously, I was doing well at Nebraska at the time. She said to me, Kimani, why you don't do a camp? Was going into the summer. She was like, you should do something, because she was a visionary in terms of, she always wanted to envision, because she was a track star. She actually got a scholarship to run for LSU. She went to Teachfield. So I got from the athleticism side, I got it from my mom. Gotcha. Yeah, so she got the opportunity, obviously, to go on scholarship at LSU. Obviously, in that time, there was family, Port Antonio, coming from a poor family, she had, responsibilities to take care of the younger siblings. So she passed on that opportunity to stay here in Jamaica. But she had her chance also to, to go on to, have success in track and field. And she said to me, she was like, you should do a camp. And I never thought of it because I wasn't thinking, I was just focused on just trying to get through my college, my college career, going to summer school. And I was like, yeah, okay, then go ahead, make it happen. And then I do my part. We sat on the phone, we came up, was like just saying what name we should came up. And then I remember seeing something in a newspaper or whatever, so Star. And it was like Star Search. And then obviously following summer, my new coach at the time came down here. He was one of the, obviously the main coach or one of the main hosts at the Star Search camp at Knox Community College in, oh my gosh, I'm in a brain freeze. Knox is in St. Elizabeth. Yeah, Manchester. So Patrick Ewing came to the first camp. He was that was the first time I met Patrick when he came to the camp. So that camp started out. So my mom and I started the Star Search. Obviously, then when I came back to Jamaica after retirement, I did that for the first 2 or 3 years up until right before COVID. I had the Hoops with Friend outreach camp. Yeah. That was up at the Mona Bowl at UWI. So for me, that was my first time in terms of how I wanted to give back to the sport that helped me get out of Jamaica and afforded me a lot of opportunities. But the focus was more on the underprivileged kids or underserved kids rather in the children's home. Not so much those who are already in high school and because there was other camps going on. So my focus on like giving the kids in the underserved homes opportunity to come out of, whether it's the orphanage, the shelter, whatever, and give them an opportunity to have a day or two for themselves where maybe at the time I could find one player, one talent that could be that success story. So I did that, and then I have my own program in the summers where my Hoops with Friend program, also summer camp, and I also do some activities, also do some development also on the weekends. Every weekend I have my own, and I'm also in the schools. So I also have my Hoops with Friend extracurricular activity in the afternoon. So I'm in a couple of prep schools and why I choose the prep schools is because there's nothing going on in the prep schools right now. We have basketball in the primary schools, but basketball is not really highlighted. And a lot of it also have to do with not just from the education or, it being exposed to the sport, even though it's a global sport and Jamaicans love basketball, as evident to what we saw at the Indoor Sports Center when Jamaica played Bahamas and Canada. But infrastructure is obviously one of our challenges. So being a country where we pride ourselves in the football, the cricket, the netball, and the track and field, I grew up playing all those sports. We don't have any, the space for a basketball court at most of the schools. So my idea was like going into the prep school, introducing the sports, and I've been able to do that the last couple of years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And yeah, just continue doing that work. And one of the things we've kind of had with the conversations that we had, I had an interview with Coach Rick Turner from the Jamaican team. We spoke a lot about what Paulson Gordon is trying to do with Jamaica basketball and trying to see if he could infiltrate that as much as they can with the national teams. What you're doing with the schools is really important. What we're trying to do in St. Lucia as well. I could only speak for my country, but Glenn Geese, the president of St. Lucia basketball, is trying to do the same thing, trying to get into the schools, trying to get those students to understand basketball from a younger age. So, as they kind of develop, they could get into the National League, get into the clubs, get opportunities to showcase their skills, and hopefully take them further on into potential careers moving forward and everything. So what we're going to do here, we're just going to stop really quickly and we're going to come into the last segment of this interview where we're going to get a little bit of a understanding of what you think about the NBA right now. The playoffs are going on. There are 2 games going on right now. I think it's the Magic and Detroit are probably ongoing right now, Game 7. Want to hear what you think about the playoffs so far, and then we wrap up this interview. So stay tuned. There's last segment of Baseline to Baseline. Episode 22 is coming up with you shortly. Welcome back into the final segment of Baseline to Baseline with Alistair and Orin. We're here, of course, with Kimani Ffriend, our specially invited guest on this episode. And Orin, as usual, what we want to do here in the final bit of this episode really is just to kind of get Kimani's assessment of the NBA today. But kind of taking into account the playoffs going on right now. Thinking about the teams that have advanced, I've specifically wore the Spurs jersey for a particular reason. If you noticed what my bracket was leading on to these playoffs, I had the Nuggets. I thought the Nuggets would kind of go through. So now I'm switching my allegiance to the team I think that I would love to see go all the way. So that's why I wore the Spurs jersey. But when you think about the Spurs right now, we obviously don't think about Tony Parker. He's a retired player. But you think about this outstanding 7'6" big man that they have in Victor Wembanyama, who is now the new age center. And like you said, you were trying to become a two-way player, as you kind of built your career and everything. But he is the ultimate two-way player as we see right now. Unanimous defensive player of the year, jump shots, step back threes, dribbling up the court, behind the back. Kevin Durant, 6 feet. That's what they call him. What do you think about a player like that? How you see the game has evolved from what it used to be, where it was just the big men in the trenches, being a very specialist, dominant, physical role under the basket, to seeing a guy like him and what he's been able to do. What do you think about the evolution of the game, from your eyes looking at it right now?
He was the type of guy that when I used to play NBA 2K, I would create. Create 7 foot. Back then it was like 7 foot attributes. If you ever play 2K, I'm putting everything at 99.
99,
everything.
Yeah.
So he's the unicorn.
Yes.
Like, you're talking about 7'5", 7'6". He can dribble the ball like a guard. He can pass the ball, block shots, his lateral movement, athleticism. Like, I remember playing against guys like him when I was coming up, whether it was in the league or in Europe, and I played against a lot of 7-footers, 7'2", 7'3". If you ever watch the movie Rush Hour, you remember Rush Hour with the Chinese, that Chinese guy when they were in the
Jackie Chan,
it was in the Tokyo, when they were in the karate. I don't know if it was in the gym when Chris Tucker was fighting that Chinese guy in the karate gym.
Can't remember who.
All right. I played against him when I was in China.
I need to go back into the movie. Yeah.
I'm thinking the reason why I mentioned him because at my height he was like 7'5", 7'6". I believe if I'm not mistaken, I think he was like 7'7". I was like a baby beside him. I'm like looking at him and I'm like, he's like more than a foot tall.
Right.
Like almost a foot taller than me. And
one of the few times you feel small.
Small, he was like I literally hid behind him. Nobody could see me. He was like close to at least 300 pounds. You get what I'm saying?
Wow, yeah.
So having somebody who can literally stand up, his length, his span can just stand up and just hold on to the rim, and then be able to move. That's the key thing. How many 7-footers do you know are over 7 foot can move the way how he moved, right? And that's what sets him apart, because until you actually step on a court with a player of his size and his ability, you're not going to really grasp the type of talent he is. I can speak from experience because I'm a tall guy myself, and I was that guy where they'd be like, "Oh, I ran tracks. I was a track star back in Jamaica." Right. I mean, if I tell people all the time from prep school up until high school, my most accolades are in track and field because I was always the fastest in school.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I had an opportunity, I got an invitation even back then to run for Jamaica, but I went to private schools. I never went to the traditional school. You know what I mean? Shout out to Arden High though. So I went to Arden, but Arden is not known for track and field. Right. And I stopped running when I was the first couple of years when I was at Arden, and then I went to Bel Air. So, I did the McCook, I did the Gibson, you know what I mean? Went overseas, did the whole running thing. But basketball, obviously, was my calling. But the reason why I'm saying that is that when I think about all the guys that I've played in my career where the lateral movement, because as a big, one of the criteria that NBA teams look for, especially, can you guard the perimeter? Can you guard the pick and roll?
Especially now.
A lot of bigs can't move. Right? They can't be able to move their feet and be able to move it. But Wembanyama being able to move his feet and cover such space in such a short amount of time, and then his length, and be able to block all those shots. I mean, he's a game changer. So there's no surprise to me that they're like, 4 games away from, making it to the NBA, the conference finals, and 2 rounds. It's just, I can't tell you how much, it's amazing to see a player like him, and that's what this NBA is right now. To my defense, I'm old school.
Yes.
I am from a different era. I would like to see more in the post and mix it up. I understand where the league is going right now, the type of players that are coming out, right now, where everybody is now shooting the ball big. It's because in my era, they didn't want you to shoot the ball. That's all. Even though I wanted to. You know what I mean? No, they want to stick to you in the post. So, so the league is being more open-minded. Coaches are being more open-minded right now.
You sent me something in our initial conversation where you said teams back before would be very fortunate to take 14 to 16 3-pointers a game. Teams are now shooting 50 3-pointers a game. You know what I mean?
When I was playing, it was like 14. When I played, 14 3-point attempts was a lot.
A lot, yeah.
I remember seeing, 14 was a lot. 20 was like too much. When we were playing, they were saying, okay, run down the floor in transition. They didn't even want you to pull up from the 3-point line. The only way you would pull up for the 3-point line is where a coach would give a player the green light is if he's really good at shooting the 3. Some of these guys in the league right now are like, 25%? You know what I mean? 30%, 33%. Like when I played, if you weren't above 35%, 38% at the 3-point line, they didn't want you shooting the 3 when I played. You know what I mean?
Analytics, that's where the whole analytics thing came in.
Analytics came in, exactly. And then Wembanyama is doing all of these things. Like I said, he's a unicorn. He has definitely changed the game. And then for this next generation of bigs coming out of high school, college, they're going to be looking to. He's the one that has set the tone in where bigs are going to be, and you're going to see a lot more. He's not going to be the only one. He's
Yeah.
definitely generational, but there's going to be more.
Absolutely, I agree with that. There's a young guy, I can't remember his name. He's about 75, 76 as well in Australia. A guy, Australian guy. I think he moved from Africa. His parents moved from Africa, and he says Wembanyama is his muse. That's the person he wants to be like. Of course, he has the physical size to kind of do that, but in terms of bigs, that's what they want to do right now. They want to dominate the game in that sort of way, and we've seen the evolution of the game through different players. Like, of course, we had the Jordans. We had the Magics and Kareems before. We had Larry Bird come in. We had Kobe come in. Iverson. Shaq did his own thing. We have James Harden now. LeBron. Steph. We have Victor Wembanyama. He's now the evolution of what.
And remember also that the league is a copycat league.
That's
so
right.
now they're going to want to find the next Wembanyama.
Everybody's going to try to find the next one.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's why I said to him in the earlier conversation that when I came out with the Tim Duncans, the Shaquille and the Shaquille O'Neals, the Kevin Garnetts. So everybody was like, okay, then you got to put on weight. You know what I mean? You got to be able to put a body on these guys. So they wanted guys to match up to those guys. When Shaq came out, even for me, it was like, Kimani, man, I was 225. They're telling me I got to get to 260. And I got to 260, but I never had the explosiveness. I was able to put on a body. Alonzo Mourning at the time, a rookie, was beating me up in practice. You know what I mean? But I was able to absorb the hit, but I couldn't jump because I wasn't used to the weight.
Right.
I mean, so like I said, with the Wembanyama now, they're going to be looking for, and they're going to Europe. Look at Africa. Africa is having they're going to Africa to find a lot of these, the next Wembanyama. And in Europe, you're taking a lot of these players from Africa and bringing them to Europe and developing out there, because in Europe, they do a great job of developing young players.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, Oren, you want to jump in here and then we kind of go into the playoffs quickly?
Just listening to stories from Kimani, just awesome to just know
Yeah,
that
man.
NBA players get a feel of NBA locker room, and just stories it's just amazing, man. Just a pity he didn't manage to stay healthy, so you could have a longer time span in the NBA. But I mean, very good to have somebody like Kimani on.
Man, I could talk about that locker room all day. I got a lot of stories.
and that's what we want to try to get out, because I think people look at the NBA or just look at TV generally, and they just have this very distant feel about what it is. They look at it as entertainment, but they just don't understand what actually goes on and how difficult some of these things that these players go through. It feels like, oh, you should be able to get over that. Oh, the term we use in St. Lucia is, oh, you lap, oh, you're at the end of the bench, you're not this, you're not that. Boy, let me tell you something. What you guys go through.
But let me put it into perspective, because even though I was doing what I was doing and even moping some time because I felt like I wasn't a success or I never fulfilled my dream, it took other people on the outside to be like, yo, Kimani, what are you talking about? You were one of less than 1%.
That's it. Yeah.
Less than 1% in the whole world ever played in the NBA. Then on top of it, coming from Jamaica, a country almost 3 million people, you can say that you are one of the few Jamaicans that ever played in the NBA. And then not only that, I left straight from high school and went to college. Nowadays, you're not when you go straight from college, from high school in Jamaica, and going straight and getting a major college and getting a high school, getting a scholarship.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? So it took other people to be like, yo, listen, you accomplish a lot, so don't hold your head down. You have a lot to be proud of. So because of that, I'm like, I'm thankful. I was blessed that I was able to have that experience and to rub shoulder with a lot of greats.
And I hope that the youth and people watching and anyone from your kids from your camps who might watch this will realize that take from this, because there's so much that you could learn from being present, being understanding of what your situation is, seizing opportunities that come with you, but also knowing how to adapt and not just going in with one mindset, because
Yeah.
Kimani's story is not going to be someone else's story. You have to learn how to adapt to each situation to get the best out of what it is that you want. And yeah, so let's jump into the playoffs really quickly here. We had the Celtics losing a crazy game 7 last night against Joel Embiid. Everyone kind of underestimating what that team would be. Joel, of course, having all the injuries that he's had throughout the season. We have these 2 game 7s that are going on today. We had the Nuggets, like I mentioned earlier on, that went out. What do you think about the playoffs so far? Who do you think might come out? Who would you like to win? Where you at with the playoffs this season? Do you think
For
OKC
me,
could
not, for
repeat?
me as a
Mhm,
as an avid basketball fan and being there and know what it's like to be on that side
mhm,
and understanding that basketball is a game of your momentums, matchups. Like I said, when they're fighting for those spots to see who you're going to play.
yeah,
The style. Everybody have a different style of play. I honestly didn't see a lot. For me, it wasn't surprising to see the Nuggets going out. If
right.
you really follow basketball and understand the game
Mhm,
and watch, how they were going into the season,
mhm,
into the playoffs,
mhm,
and watch who they were matching up against. For me, well, let's start with the Timberwolves first and the Nuggets.
mhm,
I saw that as a tough matchup.
mhm,
Last year the Timberwolves did well, and they did. If you notice how they played, yes, the regular season. What a lot of fans don't really understand in the regular season, because they're playing so much games.
mhm.
They do all the games. They're playing hard, but they're not really playing hard. They're
Okay,
pacing themselves,
right.
right? People don't want to believe that. So for me personally, I really watch the basketball. I really watch basketball when it's the playoffs, because that's for me. That's when the real basketball
Stop playing.
starts. The
Mhm,
referees are a little bit more lenient. They don't
mhm.
call as much fouls. It's more physical. You know what I mean? The game also slowed down.
Yeah.
So with the Nuggets, even though Jokic had another great season, again MVP type caliber season,
Mhm.
they weren't healthy as well. Some
Yes.
guys weren't coming into the playoffs,
Mhm,
with the momentum and at the level that I thought they were. Say Gordon injury, Murray, even though he has been solid throughout the
yeah,
year,
yeah, yeah.
during the playoffs, he wasn't he hasn't been that player
Mhm,
that we were anticipating seeing, so that
mhm,
they could get a chance now to go back to the finals.
mhm.
Timberwolves, young team, you know what I mean? Daniels, my guy, what's his name again? The star
Edward
player.
Anthony Edwards.
Edwards,
Mhm.
Edwards. Devian Jinchi, I'm not saying his name correctly. Sorry about
That's
that
okay.
one. These guys, they're the core, the core group on the team. But then those 2 players, Edwards and Devian Jinchi, they went down. So everybody thought that the Nuggets would have moved on. So
Yeah,
that's going to be a knock on Jokic as well,
for sure.
because they should have went through, right? But if you watch how the Timberwolves played in terms of the style of play, like Daniels called them out on the defenses, that was always an issue.
Mhm.
Nobody wants that. Everybody wants to highlight the
Thanks.
offensive, juggernaut that Jokic, well, a big who can pass the ball, dictate the game. He's not athletic, but just how he slows down and commands the game. He's like a what's his name? Dunwich in LA, in terms of how he can just dissect and
Mhm.
just do what he wants and get any shot, get to his spots. That soft touch around the basket, can shoot the 3, big
Mhm.
and strong. But the sheer fundamental skills that he has. But if you watch how they played, Gobert, he dominated him, even though he
Yeah.
got his points.
Mhm.
But you have to watch. You have to look on the little things that they did.
Mhm.
The times when they needed buckets, he wasn't able to get that. Gobert was able to get stops. They were able to get lockdown on defense on the perimeter. They were able to exploit the mismatches. With Murray, especially in the pick and roll. Daniel, he really showed that he's now a star. You know, you have star level, you have the all-star, but this playoffs, he's going to get paid after this. His next year contract is going to play, because this is when you go from a star to a superstar. This is the playoffs is when you make your name. So so there was no surprise in terms of the Timberwolves and the Nuggets, the Phoenix Suns, OKC. That was where we expected that. OKC, definitely expecting them to go to the finals. I'll be surprised. I can't see as great as LeBron is, especially at 41 years old. Trust me, playing in a league where the pace is much quicker, it's much faster. He's playing against these younger guys, and he's still averaging 20.
Yeah, man.
20
crazy.
points, and the usage rate you're talking about. Playing more than 30 minutes a game. You know how hard it is to play in the NBA at 41 years old, playing for 30 minutes, especially in the playoffs, and doing what he's doing.
For them to have any success, they definitely do need.
I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing it, but anything is possible. I believe. I'll say probably about what 4-1. I think that they can get a game. I think the Lakers can get. I'm putting it. I think they can get a game. Anything. If they stretch it further than that, for me, it's going to be surprised. But I said maybe that series probably before 4-1. Timberwolves Spurs. That's that one. I know you got your Spurs jersey on, but if Edwards can come back at the start of the series, I believe that they have a shot, because I'm still not going to throw all my cards out with the Spurs because of the lack of experience in the playoffs.
Okay.
Yeah. So that one, I think that one could go the distance, especially if they get back Edwards. And the other player, Duyasama or something like that, I believe the other player that's out with the strained hamstring, I think he's supposed to be coming back.
On which team? On who?
On the Timberwolves.
DiVincenzo is out. Can't remember, but I suppose coming back, if that team is on full strength, they will definitely give
full strength. They're still on the East. On the East, I was rooting for the Philadelphia 76ers, obviously because of Embiid. I'm a big guy. They're still playing the brand of basketball that I enjoy, even though Embiid can frustrate me sometimes, especially in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the game. Last night, I believe that he probably was a little gassed because he missed an easy bunny around that in the basket. If you remember that hook shot that he missed, and Boston went back down and they scored. And Tyrese,
got to give it up to Maxey.
Yes, he definitely. He took over. But they were frustrating sometimes. Sometimes I believe that they could have went back inside and took advantage of that. Maybe got a foul. They were in the bonus. They settled for the 3. So that's part of my frustration with today's basketball. You know what I mean? But still seeing a team like the Philadelphia 76ers who can still play inside out, I believe that will definitely be an advantage, because that doesn't exist anymore.
Yes.
You know what I mean? A lot of the NBA teams right now are undersized, and if you have a big like Embiid, as long as he can stay healthy and dominate on the inside, it's going to be tough to root against them, especially going against the New York Knicks.
So you think the OKC Thunders will get back to the finals? Who do you have coming out of the East?
Well, hold up. If the Spurs get past the Timberwolves, the OKC haven't found the formula to beat, because the tiebreaker with the Spurs, they have the tiebreaker against
4-1.
That'll be really so that's definitely going to be a different series. But like I said, it's the playoffs now. OKC, I'm going to still give OKC the edge because they are the defending champions and they have been there before.
Fair enough.
The Spurs have not. But I'm not. But so if it's OKC Spurs Western Conference Finals, I'm going to give OKC the edge. Just because of experience, and they're the defending champions.
Got you. And who you have coming out in the East?
The East, After watching the Boston Celtics, Philadelphia, I'm going to Philadelphia is my dark horse.
Okay.
Philadelphia.
I think.
I'm not sold on Detroit. Detroit, they're against how they looked against Orlando.
Yeah, it's been disappointing to see what's happened with them. I wasn't expecting them to kind of go as far as they taking this series as far as they have. They're up right now, 60-49.5, so they're kind of coming back. But you know how much can they rely on Cade Cunningham to lead that team through all these rounds? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I think New York, you know, the way they eliminated the Atlanta Hawks will be really good. I could see a New York and potentially Philly, what Eastern Conference conference
that could go the distance. That could go the distance.
That could go. That could go.
Series
really
could go the distance.
So I think that's the two teams I think coming out of the East. Maybe with if it goes down to that, who would I give the chance to go through? Maybe the Knicks. I don't know. I'll have to reevaluate that. But it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with the rest of these playoffs and everything. You know, it was really great to get your insights, you know, and what you think about it. How good experience, you know, is what you think about experience and how that can kind of propel teams, and what your experience was as a player, you know, playing in the NBA, and also your international career and everything that you learned. You know, you shared loads of gems here with us, you know, and to educate really the viewers as to what it is inside and outside the locker room, you know, being an NBA player, and some of the things that they need to take into account. Orrin, you have any final words before we end off here?
It was an excellent talk, Kimani. Excellent talk, Alistair. Really enjoyed just listening those stories. It just sometimes interviews, as you would have seen, Kimani. I think it's just right. You just sit back sometime and just listen. Just put the questions out and just listen to the stories, man. It was absolutely amazing, awesome in those and I don't know why it's taking so long to be part of the Basketball Association, but that's a topic for a different day. But we'd like more of you, especially with Jamaica growing on the global stage, Kimani. I know you do your hoops with friends clinics on the island, so you're doing your grassroots work. I must give you that, and it's just time before I see you with Basketball Association.
That's it.
Man. Thanks. I'm going to continue to do giving back.
You made a statement there, Orrin, in terms about just staying back and observing. You know, this was probably the hardest interview I've had, because as someone who is trying to lead the conversations, you're supposed to kind of, you know, try to move things along. But I literally wanted to just stay back and just let you talk. I didn't want
you did actually. Sometimes I thought I was rambling too much too.
No, but the thing about it is, for pure basketball fans, you know, that's the sort of thing you want to hear, because you don't hear these stories all the time. So, you know, it was really good to hear what you had to say. And like I say, if you ever visit Jamaica, I'm definitely come and look for you. Orrin,
yeah, man, definitely I'm here.
You know,
I'm told I'm a great host.
You know, it'd be really good to kind of get more conversations like this, because it's really good, and I think hopefully people who watch this will value a lot of what you said. You know, the young kids coming up, having an understanding of what it takes, you know, what you need to worry about, and you know, and concentrate on to be the best that you could be. You know, you gave us a lot of insight on that, and we really appreciate it. So thanks for spending some time with us here. We look forward to talking with you some more. Let's see what.
Yeah, man, love to do it again. I'm here. I'm here anytime you're ready.
It'll be really good. I really appreciate you doing that for us. And you know, Orrin, thank you very much as usual. We're going to end off here on episode 22. Kimani Ffriend with us, Orrin Buchanan, and I'm Alistair Albert signing off here for episode 22. Baseline to baseline with Alistair and Orrin, and we shall catch you the next time. Take it easy, guys.
Yeah. From the hardwood floor to the spotlight glow, breaking down the stats every fan should know. Trace, plays, legends in the making. Every headline, no mistaking. Fast breaks, crossovers, highlight reels. What's real strategy, what's hype and feels. East to west, we call it straight. From draft night buzz to finals fade. Baseline to baseline, we cover it all. Big plays, bold takes, the rise and the fall. Baseline to baseline, where passion is prime. Your